good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Home Lee. Welcome back to the channel. Figured what I would do today. This video will go up while I am at End War. So I'm shooting it a little bit ahead of time and going to set it up to go live while I'm out of town. But I'm going to do a sort of a channel introduction video and talk a little bit sort of in a response to a video Wacom S7 did back in the fall, I believe it was. Mr. Nathan did a follow-up to it, sort of a response video, and then most recently Captain Xavier finally got around to touching on the subject, and it's going to be why I Nerf, or why I chose to get into the nerfing hobby. When I was a kid, I had a Nerf bow and arrow, the original B&A. I'm that old. And I liked to play with that when I was younger. As I got older, I didn't get the time. I didn't really continue in the hobby. Most of my friends and I were into some different things in high school, like movies, video games, typical sort of 90s teenager stuff, I suppose. Did a little bit of sort of the backyard wrestling thing for a little while. MMA, well, not really MMA, it was before MMA really took off. That kind of stuff, though, that we were into. And we had a few different things that we were involved in and that we were interested in, and Nerf wasn't really part of it. I did have a couple of friends that toyed with paintball for a little while, but we never really had any paintball fields in our area. There were some, but they were at a pretty good distance away. So paintball never really caught on in my area. And airsoft wasn't really a thing then, or at least it wasn't around here. When I was in college, I did have a couple of friends that got some airsoft guns, and I even bought one, but we never really played with those. But then when I got out of college, was around the time of the dominance of the N-Strike line. It took me about 6 years to get a 4-year degree. I had some issues with self-discipline, and when I first got out of high school and got into college, and so it took me a few years to get out of college with my bachelor's degree. But I started teaching, and some of my older students that graduated high school the first year or two that I was teaching were sort of into Nerf, maybe not majorly so, but we arranged a few small scale battles, and me being the responsible adult that I was, I sort of was an impromptu ref or host or whatever for things, and that also meant that I was the only one with a real disposable income. So I sort of built up a small arsenal from there, mostly stuff out of the in-strike line. Your recons, your alpha troopers, stuff like that. The Raider never really caught for me at the time. Looking back, I liked it. One of the young men had a Raider, and after I got to play with it, at one point I got to where I kind of liked it, rather enjoyed it. But for my purposes, the Alpha Trooper was a little bit better, just the way that I played. But like I said, we had a few battles and things, and we also would get together from time to time and shoot a little reel still. Shot some pigeons, clay pigeons, and did that kind of thing a bit. It was just sort of mostly a social thing for us. But I then, after a couple of years there, I got a chance to move back to where I was from, and that was enough of a distance from those young men that we weren't really able to feasibly keep in touch. And I sort of got out of the hobby for a while. I'd watch a few videos, Drac, Coop, those kind of people. Some of the more, I guess, mainstream Nerf modders and reviewers. But just sort of, was mostly out of the hobby for a while. Then about 2 years ago, I guess, I stumbled across a video from Qualcomm S7, and there was some things that he said in some of his reviews and some of his videos and stuff like that that I kind of agreed with and that I liked, so I started watching him. And that was around the time he got connected with Captain Xavier, and that was a close one. You know, between those two, the rest, as they say, is history. But there's a certain connection there, and those gentlemen were passionate about the hobby, and they really enjoy what they do. And especially, like, if you've watched some of the stuff that Captain Xavier has done, like his Halloween blaster giveaway, excuse me, that he did, where he was giving away blasters to young Nerfers. That was pretty outstanding of him. Where he's done mod parties for young people, that's, you know, something pretty significant. And he's done a lot of things sort of to pass on the hobby and to try to keep the hobby alive, and, you know, make sure that it's there for the next generation of Nerfers. And that's something that I can really applaud and that I can really get behind. But getting back to why I Nerf, seeing those two, Qualcomm and Captain Xavier, seeing what they did and you know, sort of how their group works, and all of that made me want to get more involved. And then back last July, I was told that I seemed to have the symptoms of type 2 diabetes, and as the doctors looked further into it, and as I went for further testing and stuff, got more blood work done and some different things. Come to find out, I have type 2 diabetes. I'm a rather large guy, and I come from a sort of a stocky built and relatively tall people, so I've been big a majority of my life, but growing up on a farm, I'd always worked and done physical labor and was active, so I kept I was always big, but I was always healthy. But after I got out of college, and especially once I moved away from home for my first teaching job, I became a lot more sedentary. Didn't work out as much, I wasn't anywhere near as active, and things like that. So, excuse me, as I was diagnosed with, as I said, type 2 diabetes last July, I decided that one thing that could help me be more active would be to get further into the Nerf hobby. And so that's, and I've not really gotten that active, but, or as active as I would like to, but I have plans of starting my own Nerf club here in Tennessee. Sort of northern Tennessee. I'm more or less on the border between east and middle Tennessee, for those familiar with the state. But I've not gotten around to it yet. The last couple of years I've been busy trying to get my master's degree, but now that I have finished that up, that gives me a little more free time about stuff. So I had hoped to get it rolling this summer, but as we are in the middle of June, it doesn't look like I'm going to get it started in June, but I hope to maybe get the ball rolling and get something done, and maybe get active in July with that. So I'm hoping that I will be able to connect with the SENC. I had meant to get down to a war with them back in the spring, and just weren't able to. but I'm hoping I can do that and kind of help. That will help get me some connections and some knowledge about getting my own group started. But I'm hoping to use the nerfing hobby as a chance for me to get some exercise, for me to get more active, and to get out and be a little more social. And the purpose of this channel is to eventually serve for announcements and information and things like that for a Nerf club. So I've more or less, that's the main purpose of it, or the main intention that I had, was to for it to serve to help me connect with people as I was starting a Nerf club, or a foam flinging society, as it were. But I'm also wanting to use it to just sort of randomly voice my opinion about things, because there's some stuff in the hobby that I agree with, and there's some stuff in the hobby that I don't. And my opinion of things may not mean squat to you, but it's my opinion. So what you think of my opinion is your opinion. So you can use your channel. What's your opinion? But that's why I'm doing what I do. I'm going to be at End War next week. That will be my first major Nerf event of any kind. I look forward to it. Those of y'all that are going to be there, I look forward to seeing you there. And I'm hoping to make some connections there, and hoping to make it to an SE&C event soon, and make some more connections there to help me get a group established and started. So that's sort of a channel intro and why Nerf, so to speak. So before I wrap this video up, I meant to put this in a previous video and just forgot it, and it fit in another video better. I may go back and edit it out of this video after I have it up for a month or two, but the Mega AccuFakes are out. I actually just got mine in from Litake yesterday, or NF Strike, excuse me, same thing. Just got that in yesterday. Haven't had a chance to shoot them much. They seem to be good. I may be running them at End War, which means I'll be needing to buy some more soon. But while I was waiting on those to come in, I found some on eBay that I could get relatively quick. And it specifically said 4 Mega Centurion. And I thought, okay, well, I'll get, they were cheap. I figured I'd get a couple of packs, just see how they are. If they're actually Mega AccuFakes, that'll be fun. If not, oh well. Well, they came in, and they're micro darts. They're just AccuFakes, and their heads are actually harder than most of the AccuFakes that I have. So, aside from plinking around the yard, I probably won't be running those ever. Just because I don't want to shoot anybody with a dart that's that hard. Just to be on the safe side. I mean, I let my wife shoot me with them. I was fine. I'm not dead, as you can see. But yeah, so if you get on eBay and you're looking for Mega AccuFakes and trying to find other ways of doing them, I expect other companies will pick them up now that NF Strike has them, because once somebody gets something over in Asian land, usually everybody tries to run with it. But I had hoped to find a cheaper, slightly quicker method of getting them, and basically unusable micro darts.